So, like I said, this really hasn't been a good day for Donald Trump and on the legal front. And the monster civil fraud lawsuit against him by the New York Attorney General Letitia James may be what he cares about the most, right? Because it talks about his wealth and that his assets aren't what he says they are. Because she alleges that the Trump Organization, the company he put his name on, is a giant fraud. I want to bring in now Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former attorney and author of the upcoming book Revenge: How Donald Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics, and the host of the Mea Culpa podcast. Michael, good to see you.
Good to see you, Michael.
You tried to tell us.
I did. 5 years I've been shouting it from the rooftops. He's a con. He's a fraud. And I've been trying to say that Donald Trump will do anything. There's no dumpster dirty enough that he won't play in order to get himself out of liability.
So if what the AG laid out is proven, it'll prove that it sounds like, as you said, he's a con, right? You think she can prove it?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen the documents. I know, as you probably saw today, which is why I'm here, she credited the beginning of the investigation to my testimony before the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah. So you said there's something you believe that we're getting wrong about the amount of money that she wants.
Yeah, so the statements that I'm hearing is that she wants $250 million as a settlement on this. That's not true. What she said was a baseline of $250 million. She's not going lower than that because the extent of the theft is so great. My belief is it'll be 3 to 4 times the amount. I believe somewhere between $750 to $1 billion, based upon all of the fraud.
Yeah. So listen, we saw what she said. You mentioned that she mentioned you, but I want to get to this. This is the former president responding tonight. Where else? On Fox News. Watch this.
That they would never bring a case, and she brought it. And the reason I thought, because she didn't have a case. I was of the impression she wanted to settle, but I had a problem because how do you pay something, even if it's a small amount of money, if you're not guilty? This was just a continuation of a witch hunt that began when I came down the escalator at Trump Tower.
Does that make sense to you? He's saying, in his opinion, that he could have settled, right?
Right, but who settles a case when you're not guilty?
He also said that he had a disclaimer when he applied for any loan, telling the lenders that they had to verify everything themselves. Why would any bank go along with that?
Because it's not true. You know, the disclaimer is no different than his declassification of all the documents that nobody heard, except for himself. You see, like I said, Donald Trump will lie, and he lies with impunity in order to justify whatever the question, whatever the issue is that's confronting him. That's his strength. That's his superpower. He lies with impunity, and he doesn't care. I know it's frustrating.
It is frustrating because how do I say this? And look, I believe it to be true most of the time, if not all of the time. He does not respond to the actual facts of the case, right? Of the information that is alleged. He responds by saying, someone is attacking me. It is a witch hunt. He doesn't say my apartment, that I said was worth whatever hundreds of millions of dollars that I built. That was actually a mistake because it's not worth that. You understand what I'm saying? He's not responding to the facts of the case. He's simply alleging that people are out to get him.
Which is why he went running to Fox News. So in that way, he keeps his base, claiming that he's the victim. Right. He's always the victim. It's amazing, right? Yeah. You know what's interesting? A lot of people also didn't pick it up in Attorney General James's indictment papers, is that they had been requesting certain tax documents by subpoena. He fought it. He lost in court. He appealed it, meaning Donald. He lost that. They took it to the Supreme Court, and he lost it there. So they turned over some documents, and of course that has to be responsive to the subpoena. Guess what? When they raided Mar-a-Lago, what did they find? Documents that would have been responsive to the subpoena. That's now obstruction of justice. It's unbelievable. Every single time you look at a document, you're going to find that there's another illegality that's going on here. You see, again, Donald Trump is an enigma. He doesn't care about anyone or anything, doesn't believe the law applies to him, and lies with impunity. There's no other way to describe him.
I want to go back to my point because I think what did he say his apartment was worth? I forget what he said.
$375 million.
So then, why isn't he responding by saying this is why my apartment is worth $375 million, or that was an error, or to the specifics of what is alleged, rather than the Democrats hate me?
Because Donald Trump has a fragile ego. Over the course of the entire...
$327 million, right?
That's
okay.
So Donald Trump has a fragile ego. And during the entire Trump administration, have you ever once seen him acknowledge an error? The answer is no. In fact, in the 12 years that I worked for him, I had never heard him acknowledge an error. He is incapable of error because Donald Trump is perfect. And not to mention, he couldn't then fight you on it because he knows it's a lie.
Yeah. But again, that's why you said he went to where he went to, a friendly media organization, because someone will say to him, I would have said to him, why is your apartment worth $327 million? Why did you allege that? Was that an error? Can you please explain to the public what that means? Why is this wrong? Why is the Attorney General wrong? And he would not have an answer for that, correct?
Softball.
Yeah. So let me ask you about his children, because this is alleging that Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, that they're involved in this. The business is essentially run like a small family.
It is a small family company.
So talk about their role in all of this, because you were there. Weren't you based out of Trump Tower?
Yes, and I was actually, as I had stated, I had worked with Alan Weisselberg on these documents, which I testified to not only to the Attorney General, the District Attorney, and to 7 different congressional committees, along with other law enforcement agencies. The goal was to appease Donald. Mm-hmm. Each and every year, he wanted to be richer on the Forbes list. It's extremely important to him. And so what he would do is say, well, I'm worth $6 billion. And then within a second, in fact, I'm really worth 7.5. You know what? I'm actually even richer than that. The more I think about it, I'm worth 10. So figure out how to make the personal financial statement from the year before $10 billion.
What do you think he's worth?
1, 2 at best.
1, 2 at best. What do you think? Do you have any information that could help the attorney?
Oh, I've given everything. I've given thousands of documents.
So you think that they used your information in order to create this document?
According to Tish James, absolutely.
Yeah.
I gave them the personal financial statements of several years. I had explained them. The problem and why Trump gets away with what he does is because there's only a handful of people within the inner circle. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is external. And what I did is I provided the roadmap. I provided the information that they needed to understand the Trump organization so that they could hold him accountable.
Where do you see this going?
Oh, I see real problems. I see indictments coming, and relatively soon.
Including the children?
Including the children.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Tom.
Good to see you.